During our time on the road and during our son's time on the road in a van as a van dweller, we had a couple of different times that we could use a little bit of extra space for our food. Now, in the case of our son, with his van, he had to have a dedicated refrigerator freezer for his van. One thing we found once we were on the road and we actually got into a fifth wheel with a big refrigerator freezer and a wine cooler that was in that model of RV. Even when we went grocery shopping, especially being in Florida, uh, we wished we would have had some sort of refrigerator that was available so that we might be able to stop and eat on the way home. You're not supposed to grocery shop when you're hungry. So we would try our best to make sure that we would eat before we went grocery shopping, but a lot of times that didn't happen. We would just find ourselves amidst maybe Walmart and realize, hey, we need to pick up a couple of food items, which usually turned into a $200 grocery bill somehow. So we've done reviews in the past of these big giant refrigerators and freezers that go inside of vehicles, RVs and vans. But we've never done one that's been small enough that you could carry around inside your vehicle and actually have for those such reasons that I just mentioned. But that's until now. So let's take a look here. Now, even though the boxing doesn't really cover it, it says VEVOR, VEVOR is the company. And this is a 21 quart refrigerator. You can see it just says car refrigerator. This is not a freezer function. I think it might have an app. I don't know. I believe that it does. We'll get in there and take a look at that and see what it's like. But let's go ahead and unbox this. This is something that you can see is small enough compared to the bed of the truck already that you could do just that. I could just throw this in the bed of the truck, and that's even with the packaging. So let's get it out of the box and set this thing up and take a look at it. Boy, the lid is solid. Oh, now I like this. I don't think that you guys will necessarily appreciate this until you run into the problem of you got everything in here and it's just a little bit taller. Well, there you go. They've recessed this area a good, I don't know, probably 2.5 inches, 3 inches for additional height. Got your display there. What is this underneath here? Oh, you got a USB. Standard USB. Real simple plus minus power button. Let's see what's in here. All right. Kudos to them. And what do I mean kudos to them? They include a power cord that's very long for your cigarette lighter or power adapter, and they also include the household power. You usually get one or the other, not necessarily both. It's pretty good. I like this. It's not. It doesn't seem to be very heavy. All right, so I have it sitting in the truck here. Oh, the compressor just kicked on. Holy cow, the thing moved. I mean, I forget that it's like got a real compressor. The one thing you have to be sure of, though, since it does have a compressor, is it has to stay level. This definitely has to stay level. You can't run a compressor at an angle. It doesn't work. The oil doesn't get to where it needs to be. Says the battery is showing 2 bars. I'm not sure what that is. That's I know there's not a battery in here. Maybe it's the life of the truck battery. I haven't started the truck for I don't know how many days. Probably 3 days. It's a new battery, so I don't think that's an issue. But it could be that it's telling you that it doesn't have 12 volts. 67 degrees. Let's go ahead and -4. I'll set it on -4. That's like freezer territory. I'm going to see what the app's like also, but let me start the truck, make sure that the battery doesn't get drained or anything like that, which I doubt it. I mean, I can't even hear it running. Oh, I can hear it a little now. I can hear the coolant going through the lines. Okay, let me start the truck. That's going to be noisier than this, and I'm going to try to get the app out and operating and see how. I apologize for the noise. We are running the truck so I can keep the voltage up quite a bit, but I wanted to show you this on the phone here. Car fridge freezer app. This is what the icon looks like. It's called, the refrigerator is an AK1, and then there's some numbers. All you do is scan for the refrigerator, and there's a couple of things that you have to say allow, like precise location while using the app, and information as far as location only while using the app. And at that point in time, it will say press setup on refrigerator, which in this case is just the gear icon, like on the refrigerator freezer. It's just or I should say the refrigerator, although it says -4. God, that seems like a freezer, don't it? That thing then beeped, and this is what came up. This is the screen that came up. You can see I could turn it on or off using that power button in the upper right hand corner. This is the current voltage. It shows the temperature that it's set at. It does say Fahrenheit. You can lock it. That's what the lock button is there is for reasons of in case you're carrying it or somebody's around the cooler, they can push the buttons in that and they can't change anything. Then you have low, medium, high. That's going to be for the battery safety, meaning that you're going to be able to protect your battery from going dead by choosing different voltages that will shut off the refrigerator freezer if the battery gets too low, which is important if, let's say, for example, my truck. When it comes to, let's say I'm out in the woods somewhere and I've got the refrigerator hooked up and I forgot to start the truck, or maybe my solar panel that I have in the dash of the truck isn't keeping the battery topped off as much as I thought. Or if you have a big power station, with this will run off these power stations easily. I've done a couple of reviews on like a 1500 watt and a 1000 watt power station. This could easily run off of that. But you want to protect the battery, even though those have built-in protection themselves. The truck doesn't. This old ancient truck, it'll run the battery dead. So that's nice. Those low, medium, highs, that's what that's for there. But yeah, this is kind of nice that you can actually set this thing up. Yeah, that's cool. Oh, it got the user manual even. Wow. All right. Shows you exactly what how to set it up, which it's kind of a general app. It covers a lot of different products, so this one is no exception. There's going to be nothing specific that ties it in with this refrigerator freezer. Just look for that icon, or if you want to, just type in VEVOR, VEVOR fridge app. Okay, a few notes of caution because people just don't understand how these things operate. Again, it has to be level. Make sure this unit's level. You can't have it tilted. Even the angle of the seat there should be too much for the compressor, and it probably shut it off. So you have to stick a towel or something behind it to keep it level. The second thing, you can't jostle these around. Just because they look like a Coleman Playmate cooler doesn't mean you can throw it to your friends. This is 20 pounds, which is not heavy at all. But still, don't throw it around. The other thing is ambient temperature. Don't think that doesn't play a part. I can't put this out in Yuma, Arizona, 117 degree day inside this truck with the windows even down and expect this thing to cool past a certain point. It is insulated. It is a compressor. It does a good job. But you've got to realize that ambient temperature really affects a lot of different things, especially when you have something that's made to be portable and a little bit more lightweight. The insulation may not come out to be as thick as required for it to handle, like I say, heat. I'm talking about even Ohio heat, humidity, being cooped up inside this truck without the windows down. It's only going to work so well. Not only that, but it's also putting heat off itself. Trying to stay cool. It's trying to stay cool. It's trying to remove and extract the heat that is inside the unit to cool it down to the temperature it wants, should be at. But obviously, that's going to be putting the heat inside this truck. So I would never think about using this in an enclosed area for a period of time if that area is not a comfortable temperature, at least has air circulating through it. Getting back to the dimensions, again, like I said, it's 20 pounds. Now inside, the inside dimensions where you can put your stuff, 13.8, almost 14, 9.7, almost 10, by 9.9, almost 10. So let's say 14 by 10 by 10 is the inside dimension on this. Now, as far as the outside, what you're trying to fit it into, you can see it's not very big. It's rather small, to tell you the truth. The outside dimension is 23.5. That's the length, obviously. And then 12.6 tall. Now, it's not 12.6 tall all the way across, but it is 12.6 tall at the biggest point here. And, of course, 12.6 in the depth also. Well, the temperature says 66. Maybe that's the inside temperature that it's showing. 66. It's doing a good job. We'll come back to this a little bit later. I think the truck is now charged up. It says 13.6 on the battery gauge down here. We'll see how much that drops when I shut it off, and then when we come back. Typical guy. If I would just have paid attention, they include the manual in the charger box. So there's your iOS and Android app. You just scan the QR code, and this gives you all the information here. I think that, wow, there's a lot of information in here. It tells you all kinds of stuff that you can do. All right, so definitely read through the manual. It tells you about your low, medium, high settings, where it turns on, where it turns off. Again, that's to protect your battery. Shows you if there's any kind of a codes. Like in my case, when I first plugged it in, I got an F1 display, and it was low voltage to the fridge. That was because it was set up for the battery protection to be set up to where it shuts off at the voltage that the truck had, which I'm glad that it would protect it, but you know, it cuts off whenever you got it set up on high at 11.1. So I'm going to put it on probably medium with the app just to play it safe. I don't think the truck's going to drop down to 10, but we'll play it safe and do that. Full disclosure, whenever I went to the back of the truck here and I was showing you the manual, this thing shut off because of low voltage, because I had it set on the highest setting, and you can see now it's saying 10.5 volts here. But just in that short time, which was a matter of 5 minutes, it went from 67 to 55 degrees, and I don't know if you can tell now, but it's 29 degrees. Now obviously, look how small it is. Why wouldn't it cool that fast? I mean, honestly, out of that 20 pounds that this whole unit is, almost all of it's compressor. It's definitely heavier on this side. There's some heat coming off this, but barely. Not as much as I thought there would be. So, yeah, this looks pretty good. The next step is to show you what it looks like in the back of my wife's car, which is a Kia, because we're actually thinking about leaving it in there. By the short time that I went over there to open my wife's car, it dropped to 26 degrees, and it is cold inside here. Very, very cold. Now, outside today, it's not overly hot. It's overcast. I think we're at about 68 degrees outside, so even though the sun was coming through this side, I knew that it wasn't going to be much of a problem. And the voltage saying 10.5, 10.6. Actually, this gauge down here saying 11.2. I don't think my battery's down to that. I think that's just the overall drop that you're seeing through the cord and everything. So it's being a little cautious, which I would rather have that. I'd rather this tell me that my battery's a little bit lower than it actually is, just so I know what I've got going on and what I need to do to keep that battery charged. It's only like 45 watts. If I'm not mistaken, I think this little deal here draws about the same whenever it's plugged in. Oh, this one's 175 watt. So this thing actually draws more than what this does, this compressor. That's if I have that plugged in, you know, a couple units plugged into it. Now, whenever I put it in the back of the car, it's just going to be for size comparison, because quite honestly, the only way that we can do this is if I unwind that cord and run it all the way through, because unfortunately our car is just a basic car. It doesn't have a power port all the way in the back, and even the back seat just has a USB. It doesn't have an actual 12 volt power port. So alright, so we threw it in the back here, and it fits nicely. Obviously it could fit a couple different ways. You can put it this way if you want to. I think there's a little less room if I do it that way. We got cardboard back here because we do carry all kinds of weird stuff since we've been working on the house. You see there's a standard box of Kleenex, maybe a little taller than most, just for size reasons. You can see how big that is. I think this might be a keeper. I'll leave this in the back of Heidi's car and see how much she utilizes it. It's not very expensive. Speaking of which, the links are in the description. I want you to check that out if you're half interested, and I may or may not have a discount code down there. I'm not sure yet. If I do, go ahead, use it. Get even some more money off. This is, let's call this a road trip cooler. That's what it is. I say a road trip cooler. Heidi, I talked to her about ice cream and stuff like that, and she said, yeah. Yeah, see, this is kind of what you can see now, how, if that's taut, it still closes. It's a good idea. I still like that idea that the top is higher. But yeah, she, I could see hamburger, ice cream, and chicken going in there. That's usually the stuff that we have bought frozen at the store, and we're trying to keep it that way. Of course, if you put frozen items in here, this thing will reach that temperature even faster. And it's nice, you have the app, you can keep an eye on it. I appreciate you guys watching, and as always, we hope to see you out there. Bye.